Alrighty, here's your market update for August. Yeah, we're in August now. Alrighty, here's your market update for August in Fernie. Coming at you right now. An apartment in Fernie now costs more than a house in Trail, Elkford, Grand Forks, Creston, Castlegar, or Kimberley. It's not a nicer apartment, the typical one. You know the one. You've lived in it at some point in your life. I guarantee you've lived in this one. And a townhouse in Fernie costs more than a house in Cranbrook. That is not my opinion, and it's not a sales line. That's just the truth, coming straight from the July release from the Association of Interior Realtors. And I want to walk you through exactly how we got here, because the headline number is the least interesting part of it. 1,092,500. Yeah, that is the single family benchmark price in Fernie right now. That is up 8.7% from last July. Now, benchmark means the modeled price of a typical Fernie house. It's not the average. Which one? Because in Fernie, especially, one big sale can swing it. Huge. It's typical. It's just your typical price. Okay? I pulled every monthly release this year to see the shape of it. Okay? In January, we were at 926. February, 967. These are benchmark prices. March, 983. April, 986. May, bow! Yep, we're over $1 million at $1,029,000. June, $1,038,000. July, $1,092,500. Here we go. We are consistent over $1 million for benchmark pricing in Fernie. 7 releases, 7 increases, not one down month. That is $165,700 added to the typical Fernie home since New Year's Day. And guess what? When we crossed $1 million in May and never looked back. So if you thought that you were going to save enough money to make up the difference to afford that next house, you're going to get it wrong, because your money isn't doing what this is doing. You got to get in and you got to get riding. Okay? Now, across the whole Kootenay region, there are only 2 communities whose single-family benchmark rose in every release this year. Fernie is one of them, and I will tell you the other one later, and it's not the one that you would actually guess. Now, here's the number that should temper all of that, okay? Number 6. Think about it, 6. 6 single-family home sales in Fernie in July. That's it. That is down 25% from a year ago. Now, I'm not going to dress that up. 6 is a thin month. Believe me, I know. It's KD time, folks. And when somebody shows you an 8.7% price increase off of 6 transactions, you are entitled to be skeptical. So let me be straight about what the benchmark is, and it isn't. The benchmark is not calculated from those 6 sales alone. It is a model of a typical property, and it moves on the accumulated evidence of the market, not on 1 month's closings. That is precisely why the association publishes it instead of just publishing an average. But thin volume still tells you something real. It tells you Fernie is a market where very little trades, and what does trade is expensive. If you're waiting for the perfect Fernie house to appear, you are waiting in a queue where roughly 6 to 7 opportunities show up a month across the entire town. That's it. Now, the apartments are right now the real story out there. The number I actually think matters the most this month, and almost nobody's going to cover it, of course, are the apartments. Okay, there was 2 sales. That is up 100%. How's that for a tagline? Benchmark 567,300. That is up 9.1%. 567,300 for an apartment. The regional apartment benchmark is 346,500. So, Fernie apartments carry a 220,800 premium over the Kootenay norm. And this is where it stops being a pie-in-the-sky thought. That 567,000, think about it here for a second. Follow me along. 300 is higher than the single-family benchmark in Trail, okay, which is 396,000 higher than Elkford at $476,400, higher than Grand Forks at $496,400, higher than Creston at $496,500, Castlegar at $511,500, and Kimberly at $533,700. There are 6 communities in this region where a whole house with a yard and a driveway costs less than an apartment in beautiful Fernie, British Columbia. Now that is the entry price of this town, stated as plainly as I know how to state it. And I want to say the uncomfortable half of that part out loud because I live here. I grew up here. I grew up in this valley, and you are trying to buy your first place in the town you're from. I get it. The apartment used to be the answer at $567,300 and climbing 9.1% a year. It is becoming a different kind of answer. Now, the regional single-family benchmark is $640,700. Fernie is $1.092500. Yeah, that's a gap of $450,800. Fernie sits about 70% above the Kootenay norm, and we are the top of the whole region. The next closest is Invermere at $851,000, which means there is a $241,500 gap between first place and second place. And that is a bigger gap than the entire distance between second place and sixth place. Okay, so Fernie is an anomaly. So what people were buying with that? What are they getting? Because it's a fair question. And the honest answer is not schools or hospitals or transit. Fernie has 2 grocery stores, right? No consistent transit. What it has is 2,500 acres of ski hill with over 30 feet of snow in a year. More than 300 kilometers of mountain biking trail. Incredible hiking. The Elk River running through the middle of it. 3 hours to Calgary, 2 to Lethbridge. That's the product. The real estate is just how you buy access to it. Anybody who tells you Fernie prices are justified by fundamentals is selling you something. They are justified by demand, and demand is a decision between a few thousand Albertans they keep making every year. You're paying a premium for the Fernie lifestyle. There's no cutting. That's just it. The house is the house. You're paying for the lifestyle, the amenities, the outdoor fun, the recreation. That is it. You're paying for the lifestyle. Now, let's talk about townhouses. One sale, whippity-doo, down 80%. Benchmark price, $618,300, down 2.5%. One sale. So take the sales figure for what it is. It's just a little bit of noise out there, folks. The benchmark is the same signal, and the benchmark went down. That is consistent with what is happening region-wide. Kootenay townhouses are down 4.6% on the benchmark, down 31.3% on sales, and up 14.4% on inventory. Fernie is not immune to that. We're just experiencing a milder version. So Fernie townhouses are the one segment in this town that got cheaper this year, while everything around them got more expensive. At $618,300, a Fernie townhouse still costs more than a house in Cranbrook, but it is the only door in Fernie that is opening slightly rather than closing. So if you're going to be buying in Fernie, let's talk about a few things. Okay, number 1, volume is thin. 6 single-family homes sold in a month means you should have your financing sorted and your decision criteria written down before you drive out, because you will not get 3 weekends to think about it. Okay, you're going to see it, you're going to like it, you're going to buy it, or you're going to miss it. Simple as that. Number 2, townhouses. Those are the only thing in Fernie where the segment is, the benchmark has declined. If your requirement is Fernie specifically, that is where you're kind of going to get yourself a deal, a little bit softer in that market right there. Number 3, the apartment is no longer the cheap way in. $567,300, that is up 9.1%. And it beats a detached house in 6 other Kootenay towns. Number 4, 7 straight monthly increases. Every month you have waited in 2026 has cost you. Sorry, I don't make the rules, it just has. And I would rather tell you that plainly than pretend that timing is a strategy and we could figure this out. Just wait. We'll find the right one. We'll jump in on the... No. If you see it, you like it, you buy it. Because it's going up. At least that's what the trends are saying, right? So I'm not going to sell you this strategy of timing the market. I can't. I can't do it. So you can't. Anyways. Now, if you're selling in Fernie, number one, you're sitting on the strongest single-family position in the Kootenay region at a price of $1,092,500, up 8.7% in every release this year. Two, but only 6 houses sold. A strong benchmark and a thin buyer pool are two different things. And pricing above the benchmark in a 6 sale month is how listings are going to go stale. 3, the regional single family average is 65 days to sell. Fernie is a specialist type of market, so plan for some patience. Number 4, if you own a Fernie townhouse, your benchmark went down 2.5%, while the town went up 8.7%. That's a real divergence, and it needs to be in your pricing conversation from day one. Number 5, your buyer is very likely an Albertan, comparing you against Invermere at $851,000 and against the $640,700 regional number. This is such a true fact. I've had somebody reach out this week. They're coming from Manitoba, and they are looking at Fernie or Invermere. And they're going to compare them, and they're going to see which one fits best. Do they want the mountains and the skiing, or do they want the lake? We will see, and I'll update you when they pull the trigger. How about that? You got to know where you sit on the ladder before someone else tells you, okay? And if $1 million, okay, and if 1.09 to $500 million made you wince, right? Here is the thing worth knowing. 30 minutes down the road, Highway 3, maybe 20 on a nice day, the single-family benchmark in Sparwood is $577,400. That is a $515,100 difference for a drive people in this valley make every day without even thinking about it. I have broken down Sparwood and Elford in the next video, including the number that appreciated faster than anything else in the entire Kootenay region this month. If you want to talk about it anytime, give me a shout, give me a ding, text me, drop me an email, doesn't matter. My name's Craig. I'm here for you. And every figure here came from the source. I didn't make anything up. I'm here to help. Peace.